إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في القرآن المجيد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. أما بعد. We have entered into the last 10 nights of Ramadan within which we seek Laylat al-Qadr, the night of Qadr, which we will analyze what that means in just a moment. This is a blessed night where our eyes should be looking towards the Qur'an, where our hands should be looking to give sadaqah, where our feet should be eager to go to the masjid, where our tongues only want to speak words that are pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and where our hearts are constantly calling out to our Lord and begging for His mercy. That is what we want to be doing during these nights of the ending of Ramadan. It is called Laylat al-Qadr, and the word Qadr has several meanings in the Arabic language. Layla meaning the night of. Qadr can mean estimation or determination, as in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala informs the angels of His decree for the entirety of the following year. That's one implication. Another is that Qadr can mean your honor or dignity or nobility, implying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this night honors the slaves that are busy in His worship. Qadr can also mean to appreciate or appreciation, as the deeds are so appreciated on this night that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala multiplies them beyond our comprehension. And another word, this is a very comprehensive word, many different meanings. Another meaning of the word Qadr is constricted, as in something that is limited or constricted. And one implication behind this is that the angels will fill the heavens and the skies so much, and it will become so crowded and so packed that it will be constricted, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, تَنَزَّلُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ وَالرُّوحُ فِيهَا بِإِذْنِ رَبِّهِمْ مِنْ كُلِّ أَمْرٍ. So these are these nights in which we want to maximize our worship, that we don't want to waste even a second of our ibadah. We want to implement the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, as his wife Aisha radiallahu anha said, كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا دخلت العشر أحيا الليل وأشد المئزر وأيقظ أهله. That when the last 10 nights of Ramadan would begin, the Prophet ﷺ used to stay up at night. He used to tighten his waist strap. This is an expression which means get serious, I'm going to tighten my belt, I'm going to go to work. And he would wake up his family. So it's not just enough that we stay awake ourselves. We actually have to and want to wake our families up as well, and encourage them and push them to worship during these nights. And it's very noble if we can engage in i'tikaf. Many of us don't know the root word, so let's take a look at the word akafa. Akafa ya'kufu means many different things. One implication is it means to stick to something, to be obsessed with something. Another meaning is that to engage in something non-stop. And a third meaning is to withdraw and be secluded. So when you put these three things together, the word i'tikaf implies what? That we seclude ourselves and obsessively engage in the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala non-stop for these 10 nights. And this is a blessed sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who can participate in this i'tikaf as much as possible. Even if we cannot do a full one, we should try our best to do a partial one, especially the youth. And I'm going to have to pick on the youth a little bit because, subhanAllah, those that are young and out of school, I think out of school, and have the time to come to the masjid, they are completely being shown up by the elders. MashaAllah, tabarakallah, those who are older, those who are having difficulties, they're still pushing themselves. And they're still, MashaAllah, showing a lot of fervor and passion and staying up in the night and worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're outdoing the youth. And you wonder to yourself, subhanAllah, if this is not the way you're going to spend your youth, if this is not the way you're going to spend that young energy, then I ask you by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what are you using that young, youthful energy on? Nobody can claim that they had more responsibility than the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ was the most busy person. He was the person with the most amount of responsibility, and yet he found time to seclude himself and spend these very special nights in the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, appreciating the Qur'an and seeking Allah's pleasure during the time when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will set the decree for the following year. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will inform the angels on this night of what will happen to us. And we need to take advantage of that and be awake and cognizant and worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, saying, Ya Allah, if there is a sickness, a difficulty, a hardship, an accident, that it was destined for me, oh Allah, remove it from my destiny for this year. And oh Allah, if there is some opportunities that I'm going to miss, let me grab those opportunities. Let me take advantage, let the doors of mercy open for me. This is what we should be thinking about, this is what we should be begging Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for ourselves and for the entirety of the ummah as well. It's very fascinating when you take a look and think about Laylat al-Qadr, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala compares it with 1,000 months. And if you want, you can do the math, which I have done, and maybe someone can check if my math is okay. But basically, Maghrib, the time between Maghrib and Fajr in tonight and for the next few nights is 8 hours and 6 minutes. 8 hours and 6 minutes, and now if you were to divide 1,000 months in those 8 hours and 6 minutes, do you know how valuable each second would be? You can calculate how much an hour is worth, how much a minute is worth. You can even break it down to the second. And for my calculation, what that implies is that for 1 second of ibadah, it's 24 hours and 41 minutes worth of reward. So imagine, you say subhanallah one time. It takes 1 second. Now if the entirety of the night is worth 1,000 months, that means that 1 second of saying subhanallah is equivalent to saying subhanallah, subhanallah, subhanallah sincerely and continuously for an entire 24 hours and 41 minutes, essentially over 1 day. So when you have this thought in mind, would you even waste a second? Would you even go and get an extra drink or get a little extra dessert? Would you even have a conversation and say, hey, what's going on, this, that, and the other? Or would you say to yourself, I can't even waste 1 second? Because if I make dua for a minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, how much will that add up to? SubhanAllah, only Allah knows. Why is this so beautiful? Because Allah doesn't say that it's equivalent to 1,000 months. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says what? Laylatul Qadr khayrun. It's better than 1,000 months. So even when we do these calculations and say that, oh, if you divide it up, that it's worth this much, Allah says, yes, that's if you divide up 1,000 months, it's better than that. It's even more so than that. It's above and beyond that. So how much more eager should we be to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in these nights and to seclude ourselves and to become devoted and to spend the entire night here worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And even more so, I would like to share with you a beautiful and powerful hadith. The Prophet says, أَحَبُّ النَّاسِ إِلَى اللَّهِ أَنْفَعُهُمْ لِلنَّاسِ, that the most beloved people to Allah are those who are the most beneficial to people. وَأَحَبُّ الْأَعْمَالِ إِلَى اللَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ سُرُورٌ يُدْخِلُهُ عَلَى مُسْلِمٍ, and the most beloved deeds to Allah Azza wa Jal is making another Muslim happy. أو يكشف عنه كربة, or removing from him a difficulty. أو يقضي عنه دينا, or removing or paying off a debt for him. أو يقضي عنه جوعا, or removing from him hunger. And then this last portion I would like everyone to pay close attention to. And then the Prophet said, there's an authentic hadith, sahih, it's mentioned in Tabarani. And then the Prophet says something which is so, it should shake you. Allah says, وَلِأَنْ أَمْشِي مَعْ أَخٍ لِي فِي حَاجَةٍ أَحَبُّ إِلَيَّ مِنْ أَنْ أَعْتَكِفَ في هذا المسجد, يعني مسجد المدينة, شهرا. So the Prophet says what? And that I walk with a brother of mine. Imagine, if I just walk with a brother of mine to fulfill a need of his. He has a need, I just walk in with him to go fulfill that need, to give him a hand, to help him out.
then that is more beloved to me than performing i'tikaf in this masjid of mine, Masjid al-Nabawi, for an entire month, shahran, for an entire month. So subhanallah, we know how much reward it is to spend the night in i'tikaf. We understand that it is so beyond our comprehension to spend your days and your nights in this masjid, worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, being completely dedicated to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I don't want to take away from that or detract from that even a little bit. But why not combine both ibadat? Why not combine both acts of worship? Why not say, Ya Allah, I'm going to spend my nights worshiping you so that I can catch Laylat al-Qadr, so I can have a prosperous year, so that I can benefit from this year. But on top of that, because you value helping a Muslim brother in need, I'm also going to give and be charitable and open up my hands and give whatever I can during this blessed month. That is the attitude of the believer. They feel honored by the fact that Allah gave them the opportunity to give to others. And so they grasp that opportunity and they want to give, especially during these nights. And subhanAllah, you don't even have to leave the masjid. You can do from the cup. Alhamdulillah, we live in a time where you can open up your phone. I've been receiving many messages saying, please help build this and please help, with this organization. Alhamdulillah, there's lots of different requests out there, and I'm sure we're all receiving lots of messages, especially during these nights when people are more generous. So there's nobody here that can say that, I don't know who to give to, and it's so difficult for me, I have to go and find people. No, you can do it from the comfort of your own phone. And so we have no excuses. And so we want to combine the amazing and the incredible act of worship of staying in the masjid and worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala throughout the nights, especially tonight, the 25th, and then 2 nights from now, the 27th, and 2 nights from then, the 29th night of Ramadan. We need to, and of course even the even nights. But especially those nights, we want to be in the masjid. The masjid should be full. The masjid should be full of the fathers who want to set a good example for their sons, and the youth who have the energy and who have the ability to stay up and worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala throughout the night. And it pains me, because I've seen many different communities, alhamdulillah, where you see that the youth are very passionate, to the point where I've just share a quick personal anecdote. I was part of a community where the youth were so active in the masjid, and there's some background information, but that's not necessary. The bottom line is that for some reason or another, the community decided, listen, you guys are here too often, and you're doing too much, and we need you guys to slow down and back off a little bit. I mean, to the point where they were telling the youth, you guys are too active in the masjid, and you're staying here all night, and we're not comfortable with that for XYZ reasons. And they had to keep the youth away. And subhanAllah, I remember during those nights, we would go and we would say, do you really want to push somebody away from the masjid during the last 10 nights of Ramadan? But subhanAllah, they had their reasons. We don't need to get into all that, but my point is just to say what? That subhanAllah, this is the level of fervor and passion that we should have towards coming towards the message. So I pray that inshallah tonight and for these next final nights of the last nights of Ramadan, that the masjid will be packed with those who are elder and as well the youth. Allahumma ameen. And with that, I will finish my first khutbah. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam tasliman kathira. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala informs us that these nights, one of them will be greater than 1,000 months. 1,000 months adds up to 83 years and 4 months. 83 years and 4 months is essentially a very long lifetime. So you get the reward of worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the entirety of a lifetime, a full life of ibadah, a full life of worship, just for focusing for a few nights. Now, the only reason why someone would not value that, the only reason why someone might belittle that or consider that to be insignificant is if deep down they do not value a life of worship. Which to me can only beg the question, when you look at a lifetime of worship, what you're looking at is a lifetime of gratitude, a lifetime of service to mankind, a lifetime of seeking the truth, a lifetime of spreading good, a lifetime of enjoining the good and forbidding the evil, a lifetime of sincerity. And so I ask you by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you do not value a life of ibadah, then what do you value? If you can look at a full lifetime, 83 years and 4 months, if you can look at a full lifetime of ibadah and say, well, this is not a big deal to me, even though I can get the reward of this, just for focusing for a few nights, and you choose not to, then subhanAllah, do you not value a life of worship? Do you not see how amazing that is? How beautiful it is that a person implements that personally, and as well the effect that they have on the world publicly. Furthermore, we might ask the question, why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put it in the last 10 nights? Why not the first 10 nights? And I believe that one wisdom that we can derive from this is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts it in the last 10 nights for a very specific reason. Why? Because at the end is when everybody's getting tired. And I'm sure that the brothers and sisters that are in the first row and in the first row in the masjid, we are all feeling weary and tired, especially after a full month of coming here night after night and standing and praying Qiyam al-Layl. It takes its toll on you, fasting during the day in the heat, and then breaking fast and praying during the night and staying up late. It really does take a toll. It really does wear you down. It really does test your limits. But we have to remember a very simple fact. This life is a test. This life, the purpose of it is to differentiate and distinguish the good from the bad, the righteous from the wicked, and so on and so forth. That is the purpose of this life, so that on the judgment day, all the evidence will be clear and everyone will be put in their categories according to their deeds. So if you're feeling tested, then recognize that that's the purpose. That's the point. You should feel tested. You should feel like you're pushing yourself to your limit. You should feel like this is almost on the brink of being unbearable because I'm so tired and exhausted and I'm pushing myself. That's a good thing. Why? Because now you know that you're giving it your all for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now you know that you're pushing yourself for His sake. And you are a grateful servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We know that anybody can put up a front for a quick, short while. Anybody can feign or pretend or act to be righteous for a brief moment. But truly, people get exposed towards the end. When things get tough, when time gets long, when things become difficult, that's when the true colors get exposed. And so during these last 10 nights, we need to remember a beautiful hadith of the Prophet ﷺ in Bukhari, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِخَوَاتِيمِهَا, that indeed, verily, deeds are judged by their endings. Deeds are judged by their endings. In other words, a person will go through their life, perhaps they are pretending to be a certain thing, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as time goes forward, will bring the truth out. Everyone's true colors eventually comes to light, and I believe that this very much applies to Ramadan as well. What should we be doing? Some of the best deeds that you can do during Ramadan are praying salah, reading Qur'an, tilawah or qira'ah, reading of the Qur'an, and making dua. And the incredible thing is this, that you can combine these three acts of worship all in one by standing in salah and standing for a long time as you recite. And then making sujood and making dua for a long time in your sujood. So that way you are praying your salah, you are reciting for a long time. Getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Having Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speak to you through your own mouth. SubhanAllah, what is more beautiful than this? Through your own mouth, the words of Allah are coming to your mind and coming to your heart and having an impact on you. And then after Allah speaks to you, you fall down in prostration and you speak to Him. And you make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you beg of Him for His mercy and you beg of Him that He makes this year a prosperous year. Allahumma ameen. We should remember that Ramadan are just a few days. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ayyamun ma'adudat. They're just a few limited days. And if we're honest with ourselves, we can describe the entirety of our lives this way. And so we need to remember that this life is fleeting, that these days are fleeting, and that soon we will be in Yawm al-Eid, inshallah, if Allah gives us life to reach that day. I'm sorry, I'm not feeling very well. But the point is this, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when we reach that time, when we reach the time of Eid, we have to ask ourselves a very important question. Will I look back on these last 10 nights and say to myself, man, I missed out. I really didn't push myself. I really didn't give it my all. I tried, but I kind of slackened. Or do you want to be like those who, mashallah, tabarakallah, remained within the front row, remained praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala throughout the night, remained maintaining their fast not just by giving up food and drink, but also by trying to abstain their eyes from evil, abstain their tongues from evil? Do you want to be like those who push themselves to their limit during these beautiful days and beautiful nights, and when they celebrate Eid, they celebrate with a true celebration, with a full celebration? They truly are grateful and happy and so eager to celebrate Allah's mercy, and they're confident and they're certain that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed them during these nights and during these days, because they know they gave it their all. And so they are completely content and happy and confident that Allah's reward has been written and sealed for them. And so they can celebrate with their family and friends a true celebration. We should remember that the Prophet said, speaking about Ramadan, فِيهِ لَيْلَةٌ خَيْرٌ مِنْ أَلْفِ شَهْرٍ مَنْ حُرِمَ خَيْرَهَا فَقَدْ حُرِمَ. The Prophet says, in it there is a night which is better than 1,000 months. Whoever is deprived of it, of its goodness, is indeed deprived. Is indeed deprived. As in to say what? This person is the epitome of deprivation. This person has reached the definition, the ultimate climax, if you will, of deprivation. So let's not be of those people. And so, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to cut it a little early because I'm not feeling very well. But I will just conclude by saying, I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the ability to worship during these nights. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the ability to reach Laylat al-Qadr and worship during that time, and that we make dua, and that we change whatever destination was written for us, we alter it to that which is better, and we remove any hardships that were written for us, and we beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the best year. And Allahumma ameen. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك لنا فيما اعطيت وقنا شر ما قضيت فانك تقضي ولا يقضى عليك انه لا يذل من واليت ولا يعز من عاديت تباركت ربنا وتعاليت. ربنا اتنا في الدنيا حسنه وفي الاخره حسنه وقنا عذاب النار. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى اله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا واقم الصلاه.